Welcome back to Just Kidding Around. Today I am voice-overing the video because I thought that might be a little easier for everybody to hear and understand rather than me trying to talk over the tractor or the goats or Trey. So our first project for today is to load hay onto our railroad ties here to keep it up off the ground, keep it dry, so that the bucks will have some hay during the winter months, during the rainy days and stuff like that. They'll have access to it. And Trey gets a thumbs up. Something new in the pen, so they got to check it out. Have to walk on everything. Takes a little time to get the tractor into place, and then because we don't have an actual implement to to move hay, we just use some forks. So that requires a little bit of manpower thrown in to get it placed just right. And of course, the boys know exactly how to be in the wrong place while we're trying to complete our tasks. You're in the way. So we lost the recording somehow of us wrestling the cattle panel around our bale of hay and also taking the wrap off the hay. So we just used a straight blade to cut the netting off, and we just pulled that off. It usually comes off with some parts of the hay stuck to it too, so you do lose a little in that process. And then we wrap a cattle panel around it and secure that with carabiners to get that all set up. So the next heath gets drafted. We're washing out all of the water troughs on the place, and of course Loki stands by to ensure that we're doing everything correctly and to his standard. We're using a little bit of hydrogen peroxide cleaning spray to pull off all the mold and mildew that collects on the sides. Bucks also leave their own special sort of residue on their water containers, so we have to scrub that out too. It's a pretty gross job, I gotta be honest. Doing the same thing over in the dough pen. Marshmallow is on scene to make sure that we're doing everything correctly there. Making sure to rinse all the cleaner out of the trough. We haven't ever had issues with goats getting sick from using the hydrogen peroxide cleaner, and it also does a good bit as far as dealing with different parasites and bacteria you have on the farm. Our next project is loading up all the pine straw that will go inside the buck shelters, but then also in our dough barn, on the floor and on the pallets to have a little layer of insulation. And then we will also use this in the bottom of our kidding stalls to give moms and babies a little cushion between them and the concrete. We have some lovely neighbors that contribute to our pine straw supply. The girls are always super curious when we do this, and they come in and nose through it. There is not any other time that my does will eat dried leaves except for the random one they find in the pine straw. They're like little treasure seekers. They get real excited when they find a dried leaf or piece of pine cone or something like that. We don't do a whole lot as far as spreading it out. The does will kind of dig around in it and drag it where they want it to be. So we just kind of stick it up against the walls of the pallets, back of the pallets, and then they get in and paw at it and pull it around to where they want it. So they get a layer of this on the floor underneath the pallets, and they usually drag that out all over the barn. So it is another sort of mess. But pine straw is so easy to work with. You can kind of get under the edge of it, and then it just rolls up on itself almost like a mat, which makes it really easy to clean at the end of the season. It also is really great because of just the texture of it. All of the poop pebbles fall to the bottom. And then, of course, it doesn't absorb liquid very well. So that all goes down to the floor level as well. So it stays nice and dry for our girls. I know a lot of people use straw to line cages or pens and things like that. It's just not real accessible where we live in North Louisiana, and pine straw is. We're living in the piney woods over here, so there's a whole lot of pine straw available on the property, as well as, like I said, friends are constantly saying, hey, if you need any pine straw, stop by our house. We've got loads. Jack is my helper today. He's a little more meticulous than my other helpers, but I do appreciate his help because I'm a little bit meticulous. All right, so our final task in getting the dough pins ready for winter is this felt material that we are cutting and hanging on the side of each of the open pins. So we have kids all year round, but in the winter they need a windbreak. And even though our barn is very nice and is a really great shelter, moms with new little babies just need a little extra TLC. And so this is one of the ways that we give it to them. We also, there's Chloe sneaking in. This was taken during the winter storm that we had, so she's come to show us her snowball. We also hang this on the gates at the front of the large dough pen as an extra windbreak there by the barn doors because it's a little drafty there. This is a little bit of that on-the-job training that we do with homeschooling, measuring the width and the length and making sure that we make the best use of our materials. So if your fabric is 40 inches wide and your pin is 40 inches wide, then you don't cut off part of one side in order to make it the right length and the right depth. This isn't one of those things that girls seem to be really good at, but boys seem to struggle with, at least at our house. This stuff is also super hard to cut, so I was not encouraging any extra cuts.